Hey YouTube, how's it going? Wanted to post up a follow-up video. My last one was very short. I was nervous. Still am a little nervous, but I gotta get over that. And also realized that I need to be honest about my past, as messy as it was. There was a part of me that said, don't say really what you've done. People are gonna think, what if somebody sees you on there? I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 10 years. What if someone sees me and they hear everything I've done and my past? And then I realized that that was mainly ego talking, which is a delusion anyway. And if someone in the unlikely chance happened, that I knew happened to see it, so be it. It's actually better to get the awareness out there. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of who I am today. And if anybody has a problem with it, really it says more about them anyway. So the real me is that I had a very turbulent, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, and sexually abusive childhood. Just coming to terms with the sexual abuse recently, actually, and I think that sometimes your brain locks things away until you can actually deal with them. I keep looking down because I wrote in my notebook, which is actually the notebook that I wrote in when I first figured I had BPD. And, well, here's something I wrote probably the day after I figured it out. Every time I get close to someone, I push them away. I try to ruin things, and I do ruin things. I think I don't feel safe unless there is chaos. Happiness scares me. Then the chaos scares the hell out of me and hurts everyone around me, and I'm left with shame. And when I think back on my past, it pretty much is riddled with shame and pain. During my childhood, I used coping methods that are destructive, self-injury. Even when I was a very young child, I used to hurt myself, bang my head against the wall, punch myself, things like that. As I got older, they got more severe. I also, when I was about 15, started having sex, started drinking, doing drugs. I had bulimia, which is something that I'm just now comfortable in admitting in high school. I was very angry and got into fights, physical fights, rage attacks with my family. I did exercise, and that was healthy to an extent, but I would have to exercise at least an hour a day and do 300 crunches a day, or else I was just a fat piece of trash. So that got to the unhealthy scale. Everything was just black and white, like borderline. I couldn't wait to get out of my parents' house, and I figured that once I did, my pain would just stop, my life would be great, and everything would be solved. But unfortunately, by that time, my brain or my personality was already formed to the point where I had no coping skills at all, and I felt like I was just basically in a anxious fight-flight all the time, which, come to find out, that pretty much is what I was in. I was drunk, high, pretty much my entire teens, end of the teens, and my 20s, and I got a DUI when I was early 20s. Had gotten pulled over before that, but didn't get arrested. Got arrested for disorderly conduct, things like that. I was addicted to Xanax for 3 years. That was prescribed by the doctor. I stopped seeing the therapist once I was 18 because that wasn't helping me. She was nice, really nice lady. However, basically the only thing she did was ask me how things made me feel. And honestly, I felt really bad pretty much all the time, and I couldn't deal with my emotions. That was the problem. I needed the coping skills, actions, not verbal. Anyway, I was addicted to Xanax, and my 20s, early 20s were pretty bad. I was teaching, but At night I would drink every night. I got married and I was abusive, and I'm ashamed to say I was abusive, not, well, either way, any kind of abuse. So once I went to detox and got sobered up, my eyes leaking. If I was crying, I'd tell you though, it's because today I'm not ashamed to cry. Anyway, if once I got out of detox, I realized how unhealthy my marriage was, and we got divorced. I had gotten so unhappy that I purchased the gun. I was suicidal a lot of the time, to be honest. And the abuse, I mean, not only was I abusing the person I was with, I was abusing myself, self-abuse. I hated myself. And after I got divorced, I was alone for about a year, and I slowed down on my drinking, and I wasn't addicted to Xanax, so I was getting a little healthier and more self-aware. I'd been reading about troubled childhood and psychology and stuff like that, and learned a few things, and basically how much you can get messed up by your early attachments. And after that relationship, after about a year, I got into another relationship, and my BPD symptoms came back pretty much full force, and I started drinking heavily again, reckless driving, and the guy that I was in the relationship with at that point was not emotional really, was very rational and didn't play into the emotional mind of it, and said, you know, I can't handle this emotional roller coaster, and I had to look at myself and was like, yeah, really, this is like an emotional roller coaster, this is crazy. So I typed into Google emotionally unstable, and borderline came up. So I was 27 years old, and all the symptoms, I knew that was what was wrong with me. Finally knew. 27. And interesting, I just read the other day, Brandon Marshall, NFL defense, multi-million-dollar football player, diagnosed with BPD at 27. Man with that many resources, that famous, and his troubles have been in the spotlight numerous times, and he just finally understands what's wrong with him. He's just finally diagnosed, and that's my point of doing this, to shed light into this. I'm really happy that he is saying that he's going to be the face of BPD, because we definitely need somebody out there that can spread the awareness. So he said, and also what Brandon Marshall said that I felt the same way, was that now he feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. He knows what he's dealing with. If you don't know what your problem is, you know, with recovery, you got to admit what your problem is first. If you don't know what you're dealing with, how are you ever going to get better?